G'day guys, today we're finally at the place where we can start planting some stuff. So I've got a few options. I've noticed in the nurseries, I've purchased these in town. Most of the seedlings are really soft. Because it's such a high demand on seedlings at the moment, we've got smaller ones. So I've put these outside. I bought these probably 4 or 5 days ago. And I've had them sitting outside in the sun, trying to toughen them up a bit, making sure they stay wet. So when we put them in the plastic, it's a much hotter environment, so we're trying to toughen them up a little bit. So that's the seedlings. Here's some that we had on the farm. So I got some, and they're old. You know, and we're going to plant these to show you that an old plant will grow. It's not ideal, but we'll show you how to plant these, and you'll watch these grow. And here's some peppers and some eggplant. So we're going to put all these in today. So I'm showing you these. So if you go to a garden shop or something and you find some old looking ones, you'll see how they grow. Sometimes, you know, if you can't get anything, we'll get some old ones and we can make them grow. All right, so tomatoes are going to be first. So this punnet here has 4 cells in it, but we've actually got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 plants. So it's a bit of a bargain. Always have a look. So some of them has 6 cells, but if you've got more than one plant in a cell, we can gently tease them apart, just without breaking too many roots. And now we've got 2. So we'll have a crack at planting these. These ones are the cherry tomatoes. We probably don't need 9 of them, but we'll whack them in. You've always got a lot of friends that want tomatoes, and cherry tomatoes, 1 or 2 bushes is probably enough for your whole house. They're really great. The little ones are really sweet, so if you put them in with the pasta or something, they're really, really nice. Fried up, so we'll whack them all in. I found my very architecturally designed planting device, grown by nature. That's all you need. So tomatoes we want to plant about 500 mil apart, and on this plastic there's a mark about 500 apart. So we'll just go in here. We've put the plastic in so that we know that there's no tape underneath. See, it's nice and wet under there. Make a decent hole, and in our environment I like to stretch it a bit so that the plant doesn't actually touch the plastic, and we go in deep. So we're planting, push it down, as the heat will affect those. So what I want to talk about with this potting mix, you can see how porous it is. So we've got something that porous to something solid like the soil. If we plant this seedling in the ground and leave the top open, all the water will evaporate out of that cell before it evaporates out of the ground around it, and you can actually cause the plant to die of thirst even though you've got the irrigation on, because of the evaporation rate out of this. So always try and plant tomatoes nice and deep. Put them down, so the taller, you'll see with these old ones when we get them, the taller they are, the deeper we go to start growing up. So it's a pretty easy process. Nice and deep, open that out and then push down. So now we're going for Romas. Make the passata. Same thing again. I've managed to find a tray in the nursery. It's got 6 in it. So between the 2 patches, I'm going to leave a bit of a gap. So instead of planting the next lot on the mark, I'm going to go in between the marks so we've got a little bit of differentiation between the 2 varieties. The cherry tomatoes will try and take over the whole world, so give me a little bit more room, whereas the Roma tomatoes don't go quite as vigorous in the bush. Make them so they're standing up. They will straighten up themselves in no time, but we don't want them laying on the plastic because it will burn them. you doing? You're getting hot out here. So we're going to put these really old ones in, see how they go. You might be surprised how they go. So you can see there, you get close up on this there. See there, all the leaves are falling off. They're tough. Roots are fairly root bound. They should have been planted a month ago. We planted some out in the orchard a month ago. So these have just been sitting in the pots getting watered in the nursery. So let's put them in, see how they go. Same thing again, we're going to leave a gap. So some people would plant it like that. We're planting right up to there. On the end of that section I'm going to put a chili bush. So I found some chili bushes at the local hardware shop. They're the same thing, they're very soft still. So put them in, see how they go. It might be a little bit too hot, like we've been getting 38, 39 degrees. It's going to be quite hot for these. But we'll put them in, see how it goes. Otherwise we'll never get them in if we wait till it gets too cool. Nice big cell. Same thing, we've got to cover that cell with sand so that the evaporation rate's very similar through the whole profile. If we plant that to there, that evaporates quicker than the soil. So I'll pull out some sand this time. See how wet that is? Very nice. Make sure we cover the whole lot of potting mix. So in our garden, because we've got such a long row, I'm going to leave a gap here now so that when we trellis them, we'll have a gap in our trellising, so we can just walk through here and get to the rest of the garden. Otherwise, every time we come in here, we're going to have to go right to the other end. I know that's not super terrible, it's only 25 metres, but you know how it is. This row we're going to start with a chilli again, so we're going to have 2 chilli bushes as we walk through the gap between the trellising, and then we'll start with tomatoes again. Same thing, I've got a big pot, a big cell. It's a really expensive way to buy one plant, but because there wasn't anything else, these are the ones we've got. Now we're going to go with some eggplants. These are eggplants we planted out in the paddock. We really don't need any eggplants in our garden. There's 100,000 plants in the orchard, so you can see them growing in the garden. We'll put some in here too. So these eggplants are the same age as those old tomatoes we put in. Eggplants are extremely durable. So we're going to put them next to the tomatoes because we actually trellis these as well, stop the eggplant. They'll go a really wide, big bush like you saw the ones that we pruned from last year. But if we put them in a trellis, it holds them up and the fruit doesn't get marked. There's some peppers there. Same thing, we're going to leave a bit more of a gap for that last one to spread out a bit and go in between. Same as the tomatoes, instead of planting them here, we're going to plant them nice and deep because they're old. Eggplants get a bit of a bad rap. A lot of people think they're terrible, but if later on when we produce some eggplants here, we're going to show you how to prepare them so they actually taste nice. Next ones are the peppers. So we're going to finish the trellising at that point, so the peppers will start up here. Nice gap. There we go. So we're going to, on the end of this line, we'll put some basil to go with the Roma tomatoes, so they'll be a couple of weeks before we put them in, so we'll try and balance when the Romas are ready that the basil is ready, so we leave that a little bit longer. Basil's a bit quicker than the tomatoes are. Alrighty, so now what we would do, we'd get a watering can and you go and saturate each one of those spots. Even though we've got the drippers there, we actually really want to wet it significantly so that any air bubbles and anything in that zone sort of works its way through the water, and we just set them into the soil that we've just planted them in. Too good.